I'm here now with Sharon Weber and Holly Sherman, who are the co-founders of The Haven, which is a sober living community here at SC. Thank you both so much for coming in tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So first, Holly, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to touch on how as college students it can be hard at times to define this line between going out and drinking sometimes and then potentially that turning into a problem. Do you have any words of wisdom to kind of draw that line for students?
Well, it's a really good point because college years are supposed to be the time when you're supposed to be able to drink and have a great time and really have some conviviality with friends, and so identifying when the time is that you've kind of crossed a line into it being a problem can be very, very tricky. One of the things that we ask people is whether they have made a decision to stop drinking and then kind of broke that promise to themselves. That's a sure sign that if you can't keep that promise to yourself, then there may be an issue. Another one is if you experience severe consequences as a result of drinking and you still continue to do it. If your grades are suffering, if you've lost friends, if you've had any unfortunate circumstances such as an arrest or a transport and you still continue to do it, then that may be an indication that you have a problem.
Sure. And so you talk about these indications, but I'm wondering from you if you could touch on how students can view these indications and then do something about it, or how they can kind of turn that into action.
Right. So the Haven is a student-led community. So it's really led by Pat, and he has a counterpart, Sophie, and the students are all inclusive. So it really is about enabling students that are questioning their behavior to be paired up with a student that's been on that same journey. They're like-minded. They've come out on the other side. They've found recovery, and they are more than willing to share their experience and talk to them and help the students decide for themselves whether they have an issue or whether they haven't crossed that line. So, yeah.
And so in terms of kind of the outside world, outside of the community of The Haven, how do you guys think that society can work on breaking down the stigma surrounding alcoholism?
Well, I will say there are 23 million Americans in long-term recovery today, and I think it's really about letting them tell their stories, spotlighting their stories, their faces, their voices. And sometimes those stories aren't as exciting as the ones about addiction. And sometimes the media is not really great to addiction and to recovery, because it's great, it's sexier to look at the celebrity that's fallen, that got out of rehab, and are followed around, but the recovery stories are not maybe as exciting. So I think we want to tell more stories about recovery because it's an amazing lifestyle.
Sure. Well, thank you both so much for coming in tonight. We appreciate it. And we know this is a serious issue, so we're glad you were able to come in and touch on that.